theory. It's not a conspiracy. It's a war plan in operation already. It's in the advanced stages. But Pakistani society had recognized this game plan at least 2 years ago. Armed forces were able to regroup. So society organized, coordinated, backed up the armed forces. And then the massive security operation in Swat Valley in the tribal areas, which has basically broken the back of the Indian-backed insurgent groups. And so now there is terrorism, but that is localized terrorist incidents not capable to break a country. So the threat is over now from that aspect. But the government which is in Islamabad is a totally compromised, corrupt government installed under the name of democracy by the CIA and the Americans. And on the other hand, the IMF policies which are being, and the blockade of water, they are designed to create an economic collapse in Pakistan, a food agriculture crisis in Pakistan. So unless this government is removed immediately, Pakistanis will have to face a much tougher time in future. But the awareness is there. The nationalists and patriots are making a counter-attack in all axis on the ground level. They're raising their voices. The nation has been regrouped, reorganized. And alhamdulillah, we have a great, by Allah, we have a role to play in this. And when the ideological and emotional and identity-wise the nation is revived, then the physical threats can be managed. It's only when the disinformation is so intense that despondency starts to develop in the society that the job of the enemies become easier. But now, alhamdulillah, there's a massive regrouping in Pakistan. The patriotic and the Islamic elements are grouping together. And the awareness level that the Americans wanted this game, as the media, the intellectuals, the youth, the armed forces have understood this game. And lately you would see that the Americans have been very disturbed that the Pakistan army has been taking independent steps, which are too much to the dislike of the Americans. For example, Pakistan signed a gas pipeline deal with the Iranians, which the Americans never wanted. Pakistan signed a nuclear reactor deal with China, which the Americans never wanted. Pakistanis are not going into the North Waziristan, while Americans are insisting that we should. We are not doing this. So all these are signs that Pakistani armed forces are now taking up independent stance. The story and the era of the Musharraf time, where Pakistan was towing completely the American line, has now come to an end.
Jazakumullah, very, very interesting story you just told us. Alright, let's take it further, Brother Zaid. Kashmir, let's talk a little with regards to Kashmir. Kashmir is often a thorny issue regarding the two nations. What is at present happening in Kashmir? And why won't the question in many people's mind is, why won't both nations allow Kashmir to be independent? Tell us more, Zaid.
You see, Habib, the fact is, in 1948, when Pakistan was created, the founding father of Pakistan, Qaid Muhammad Ali Jinnah, at that time he said, Kashmir is the jugular of Pakistan. Whoever controls that jugular will control Pakistan. Now, the fact is, it's not just the territory or the lands. As you can see now, after 63 years, all Pakistani rivers flow into Pakistan from Kashmir. And Pakistan is at 70% agrarian land. It's an agricultural-based country. So if you block waters, you don't need to wage a war on this land. You'll just simply destroy 170 million people of this nation by simply blocking the agriculture and water. So the fact is, Kashmir, on one hand, is critical for Pakistan. It is truly a jugular. From this point of view, that it's an access, it's a route from where Pakistan links up with China. All the rivers come into Pakistan from there. And on the other hand, for the Indians, for example, if there is no pressure on India, why should they make Kashmir independent? You see, people like, for example, in East Timor, when the United Nations stepped in, there was a massive international pressure, and they forced the Indonesian government to hold elections and make Timor independent. But there is no such pressure we see on the Indians as far as Kashmir is concerned. So Indians are not the kind of mentality they have, with the strategic clout they have in the region and in the world, that they would surrender something, without any external pressure. So, on the other hand, when the Indians feel that they can also block Pakistani rivers, which is a strategic stranglehold on Pakistan economy and agriculture and lifeline, then India takes it as a strategic weapon system to control Kashmir, not really under any pressure to give any concession. So we don't see any reason why would India give any concession. And with the weak government in Pakistan, there's no pressure on India in any case. So as the crunch time increases, the pressure increases on Pakistan, the mood in Pakistan is going to get more serious, perhaps more violent. And Pakistan has already fought 3 or 4 wars on Kashmir, and perhaps the final war would also be on Kashmir, but that perhaps would be the war which would decide the fate of any of the two nations. Either Pakistan would overrun India because they're nuclear weapon states. The situation in that case could be unpredictable. There's no doubt about this, that the entire world is going to suffer if the pressure on Indians is not there today to withdraw, to lay back, lay off from their stance on Kashmir. It's not just a question of land, and people and territory. For the
yeah.
past 62 years, Pakistanis have been delaying the issue, hoping that somebody would step in. But now when the Indians are blocking our waters, then it becomes a matter where Pakistan would respond, and respond ruthlessly, with or without the world with them.
All right, Jazakumullah. Jazakallah, Zaid. You know, you should talk to us more on Radio Islam in South Africa. I'm really enjoying your explanations thoroughly. Jazakumullah.
You're most welcome. And whenever you call, inshallah, you'll find your brothers from here with you.
Wonderful. Jazakumullah. Let's talk a little, sorry to take up your time, just a bit of Afghanistan. You know, Zaid, hardly any news comes out of Afghanistan nowadays. Is Taliban in a strong position, and will they re-emerge to rule Afghanistan again?
You see, the fact is that the Americans and the NATO are the most confused, disoriented, and disorganized at this moment in any time in the last 10 years. And the fact is that Afghan Taliban are gaining ground every day. The very simple fact that the Americans are begging Pakistan to intercede and help them find an exit strategy is a sign of the US and the NATO vulnerabilities and weaknesses in Afghanistan. Now, Afghans themselves, the army that they trained, the army of Karzai, is absolutely incompetent in any form to hold Afghanistan once the Americans and the NATO withdraw from here. So the Americans have no option. Either trying to hold on to it somehow, keep sending the body back, which they are doing now every day. Then they came up with the Lebanon option. As we said, they want to divide Afghanistan into hostile zone and a non-hostile zone. And then the third option is they ask the Muslim countries to intercede and try to find some kind of an exit formula for them where they talk to Taliban. They have no choice but now talk to Taliban. Because it's not just the Afghan Taliban. You see, they call it Taliban, but actually there are multiple groups of Pashtuns which are resisting the Americans. There's a group of Gulbuddin Hekmatyar. He is not Taliban. There's a group of Jalaluddin Haqqani. He is not Taliban. So within the world they say Taliban, but within themselves they say it's the ACM, the anti-coalition militia. So this is a wider axis of Pashtuns. Basically, it's the Pashtuns who are resisting them. So Pakistan have a clout within Pashtuns very strongly. Jalaluddin Haqqani's men are based in North Waziristan, and Pakistan is not attacking them, and Americans are very upset about this for the simple reason that Pakistan want to keep their bet, hedging their bets for the future. You see, Pakistan has never fought any war against Afghan Taliban. Pakistani operations are only against the local Pakistani Taliban, who are basically backed and sponsored by the CIA and RAW. And who do not fight against the Americans, but fight only against the state of Pakistan and the Pakistani people. So this is something that the Americans are extremely upset about. So there is no doubt about this, that sooner or later, a grand coalition of a jirga or a dialogue has to be constituted where Afghan Taliban will have to be accepted as a legitimate party to the conflict, where Pakistan and Iran will have to play a much larger role. Pakistan would be influencing the Afghan Pashtuns, and Iranians would be influencing the Tajiks and the Uzbeks and the Hazaras.